when I was 16. Our family lost my younger brother.
I'm sorry.
To a very tragic car accident. It was a very life-altering experience for family dynamic, especially being 16 and just going through puberty and social things, and having all those awkward times, and then throwing this into the mix. It just changed a lot of things. He had just turned 12.
Hello and welcome to another festive episode of Cosmic Chats. Today we have Monica McGinnis, who is a middle school science teacher, a very busy boy mom, and a big advocate for health and wellness. But today she's going to share very intimately the loss she experienced of a younger sibling when she was 16 years old, and how she coped with it and how it changed and shaped the rest of her life. So how would you describe the taste of a banana to someone who's never eaten one?
I would probably, the taste, just the taste, not the texture. I would say that it's sweet, but it is a little bland at the same time.
It is, isn't it? It is a little bland. And I think that's why it's in so many smoothies, because it's just substance.
It is. It's just the texture of it molds well for all that kind of stuff. But if it put peanut butter on it or dip it in chocolate, then it's nice and then it's good.
Yeah, because it sort of holds that. Are you a big banana lover?
I do enjoy them, but I like them like banana bread, and I like it in a smoothie. And every once in a while, I'd like to dip them in chocolate hummus. I don't know if
chocolate hummus.
Yes. I thought it would be gross, but it is divine. It is. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to have to keep me back on track, because I am going into potential chocolate hummus celebratory occasions.
It is a great alternative. I really enjoy it, and sometimes just eat it with a spoon. Sometimes, but. But back to bananas, it's a great fit for that fruit.
Yes, I can see that. So when did you have your first existential life crisis as a child?
Interesting enough, I would, now that I'm 43, I will say that when I was 16, I was a child. And I, unfortunately, our family lost my younger brother.
I'm sorry.
To a very tragic car accident, and I would definitely qualify that as a crisis. It was a very life-altering experience for family dynamic and relationship with my parents. It was certainly a very difficult time, especially being 16 and just going through like puberty and social things, and having all those awkward times, and then throwing this into the mix. It just changed a lot of things, and I think it took longer for me to grow up.
How old was your brother?
He was he had just turned 12. It was 1995.
Ooh,
and he
12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of potential that family are missing.
Yeah. That because I'm one of four, and it's all boys and me. And so I actually think my youngest brother was the one that really missed out, because it was me and my older brother, and we're 2.5 years apart. And then there was 5 years between myself and my brother that passed away. So he was really close with the youngest. So it was like us two and then the other two. So I feel bad for my youngest brother, because he definitely lost his buddy. So his path after that, I'm sure, as we've discussed in multiple therapy sessions when we were younger, things definitely changed.
How old was he at the time?
My youngest brother?
Yes.
He was, I think, 9.
9. Okay, so he was still in elementary school at the time. For you, and you specifically, what did you notice? And I'm going to say a time period of the first year, initially after that happened. What was the biggest shift you felt in your perception of yourself in the world?
Well, instead of being a teenager and experiencing what you would say is like normal teenage things, I think I became a caretaker for a little while. So my perception of myself was more like I have to take care of my mother. I have to do this for my mother. I can't do this because it's going to upset my mother. And so I helped take care of my little brother at the time and kind of stayed out of my father's way because his way of coping was different and he was very quiet. So the perception of myself, looking around and seeing what other kids or teenagers were doing and worrying about prom and worrying about, who's going to ask them and what dress they're going to wear. I was more concerned with, will my mom be okay if I'm out late? Is she going to be worried about where I am? Am I going to have it was just different thoughts. And so the rest of high school was just a little different for me and what I thought I should be doing.
Did you find that your relatedness, even with your close friends, became different?
I had fewer friends. So I would say I was very quiet in high school anyway, but I was very well acquainted with a lot of people. And then after this whole thing had happened, I would say I had 3 really good friends. I went from maybe 12 to 3, and I still talk to those 3 today.
And what would you say are the preserving elements of those friendships?
I would say being able to be myself, good, bad, or ugly. I would be able to tell them things that I'd be afraid to tell other people. They would listen. They didn't pass judgment. They gave me what I needed when I needed it and understood if I was withdrawn. And when we, would go out places, they would stay with me. They wouldn't go off and socialize, but they didn't really look like they wanted to. Like we were just happy being together. And I appreciated that because it was a very comfortable thing for me. And they were my support system because I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents about it because they were going through enough. So they were my people during that time. And I, I could count on them. And that's like very rare when you're that young to have friends that are like that. So to say that I had 3, I feel like I was lucky.
The other friendships, did they naturally dissipate or were there some blowouts?
They naturally dissipated. I think that they were doing what they should be doing and I wasn't there. And so I wished them well. And they were never, had anything negative to say. They were always nice in passing. We would work together doing like projects and homework and studying, but there was nothing outside of that. And that was okay. I had too many things going on to like keep up with all that.
And at school, how did the relationship dynamic change with you and teachers?
Well, in the beginning, there was a lot of pity and sympathy. They felt bad for our family. They were very supportive in the beginning and like how I did my schoolwork and offering me extra help and giving me multiple times to make up a failing grade for like that whole, I'd say, first half of the year, because after he had passed away, I was going into my senior year. So the first half of my senior year, they were very, very supportive. But I feel like they, and no fault of theirs, they just had that coddling like nature, and I don't feel like they saw me as Monica. They saw me as, oh, poor kid just lost her brother. Their family's going through so much. What can I do to help her? And I appreciated that. And I don't think I would have done well without it. But I feel like I got gypped of people seeing who I really was.
And what was it you were wanting them to see?
That I am, well, I am naive. Like, I'm 43 and I still think there's some level of naivety on me for sure. But that I was really social, and that I was like, had a talent. I loved to sing and act and do all of the school musicals, and that I was very responsible and organized and a hard worker. And I think a lot of those things didn't get seen because the situation overcasted everything.
How was it in regards to your applications for college?
I didn't say anything about it.
Mm.
I just went off of my own accord. My grades, we have the MCAS here, which is like a standardized test that you have to get a certain score on, and I did terrible on them. I still do bad on standardized tests. And I just went off of all the credentials of things that I had spent time doing throughout high school. I never, ever mentioned it at all. I wanted to kind of start over.
And did you have college counselors suggesting otherwise?
They said that as long as I had somebody that I could talk to, and they knew that would be happening, then I could move forward in whatever fashion I was comfortable with. And so my parents had set up like some therapy. And then of course, when I got to the college that I went to, I knew where to go to talk to somebody if I needed to.
Did you
I
feel
didn't
that
really.
it hindered your ability to get into the college you wanted to?
No, I don't think so. Because if I think about the logistics of it, our junior year is the year that really holds a lot of weight for college applications. And I just finished my junior year. So all of that was truly my ability. And then moving into senior year, I added on whatever I could, but I don't think it held as much water in comparison to the year before.
Do you feel that, was it a small town that you grew up in?
It was a small school that I went to.
Did you feel that people were behind your back wherever you went at the beginning?
Yes. Yeah. Well, everybody was doing that. It was high school. I mean, if you don't gossip, are you even in high school?
What did you find that you dropped about yourself, that you cared less about, sort of, oh, that was too much energy, because you didn't have the capacity to put yourself in that energetic space after you passed?
Well, can you repeat that again?
What did you let go of?
Well, I think in the beginning, I just kind of let go of anything that I wanted for myself, because I felt like anything material was asking too much of my parents. So I didn't really say anything about it, and then kind of complained to myself when I was alone. And I don't really think that I allowed myself to have as many experiences, because number one, I was afraid of worrying my parents, but also a combination of them not letting me have those experiences in fear that I wouldn't come home. And that was an inarguable thing.
Were they definitely more concerned about your whereabouts than before?
Oh, yes. I had early curfews. I could only ride in cars with certain people. I wasn't allowed to have sleepovers at like girlfriends' houses. So there was a lot of restrictions on my senior year.
And did you feel that? Go ahead.
No, I was just really mad about that senior year. Like had a lot of anger about that at the time.
Now, your older sibling, were they at university or college at the time?
Yes, my older brother at the time, was a sophomore in college when this whole thing had happened. So there's about a 8-year difference between my brother that passed and my oldest sibling.
So did your eldest sibling go back to university or did they stay at home?
He stayed home and commuted
Mm.
to his college.
And
just for one semester.
Yeah, was that supportive? Did that help?
No. He was doing college things, so he would come home for laundry and dinner on Sundays, and spent most of the time with his friends in his dorm and kind of had his own escape, I think. Sometimes he took me back to school with him, but as I said before, like my mom and my dad were like, bring her back by 10. So
do you think there was more concern about your whereabouts because you were female?
Oh, well, in our house, there was always a discrepancy between the boys and the girls. My brother and I, when we were older, if we would go out together, and he came home in a not so great way, and they heard us come in, they would assume it was me first, and they would be mad. But when they would find out that it was him, they'd be like, ugh. And they'd, okay, just go to bed, sleep it off. And I was like, what? I was the responsible one. I brought him home. So that's just the way it was. His punishments were never as severe as mine growing up.
And when you were going through this, what did you find solace in?
Music. I love music. I loved musicals. I loved to sing them. I liked to just listen to them. Even just the radio, certain songs. Sometimes that was like a good distraction for me. If I heard a song that I loved, I would listen to it and try to learn the words. That was like my therapy, I guess you will, at the time.
Do you think part of that is when we sing, there's vibration of sound, right? And so vibration of sound within us, right? And it's emotional, right? And did you find that you loved the songs that were uplifting?
Yes. Some of them, but sometimes like a song that would give you a good cry it was very cathartic. And it would like let me release something. And then I would just enjoy the higher vibration songs that would come later, because that's kind of how it works, right? When you have a high vibration, you attract everybody else that carries that same vibration. And so music is like that, I think. Can really
sound, absolutely. We're all vibrations, sound. Absolutely. Yes. And so that's why music is very much solace for the heart. And all those heartbreak songs are good to listen loud after a heartbreak, right? Just feeling that.
Oh, the breakup songs, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you do now to help yourself if you're feeling stressed, get grounded?
So what I do now is I am a wellness coach. And I do the coaching piece, not like a nutritionist or a personal trainer. I just enjoy movement and physical activity as a way to release stress and give me energy. And it sets the bar for challenges and seeing if you can reach that challenge, because when you feel like you can do it in a workout, I almost feel like you can carry that into other parts of your life, of your day, something you said you couldn't do, but then you worked hard and you did it. So that's my big piece. I invite people to join me because it works so well for me. I feel like if it can help me, I can help somebody else. Another piece that I also do is I read a lot of personal development a lot of times, just to kind of see what other thought processes are out there, and do I connect to that, and would it be something that would help me in any given circumstance?
Right.
Those are
Absolutely.
yeah.
Very helpful. And for those of you who are curious about what we do for meditation, you'll see there's a little image there. There is an ebook. It's free if you have Amazon Unlimited Prime. It's called Vedic Meditation Stories, and it's the only global publication right now of true stories of people who learnt the meditation practice and how it changed their lives. Each story is probably about a page. It's not long, but it's a whole plethora of them, and it's kept in their voice. There's been no editing, simply so we can hear their truth come out of how exactly it is that their vibration changed as a result of it. And that's there because we wanted to help reach people who had no idea about, meditation. People either think that, you're sort of floating on the clouds, or you're supposed to eat a certain way or be a certain person. But in reality, this is the technique to get the nervous system from the fight or flight to the relaxation, enough that we aren't always on the high, adrenals all the time in that panic mode, right? Allowing to get that deep rest. So we encourage everyone to check that out, and any monies from that go towards the non-profit, as it were, and it can be, accessed and downloaded. So that's helpful for the planet as well. Do you find that you have broken through some of that nurturing, caretaking, putting others in front of yourself, or have you found that's part of your wellness program now, to take care of yourself, put the mask on yourself first before someone else?
I think I have learned that. I know I'm in my 40s. I would say that it took me until about I was 37 to finally start figuring that out. That, I'm a caretaker of nature. I love helping people. I'm a school teacher, so it's kind of par for the course, but that's just who I am. And I do it because it fills my bucket. But I have also been exhausted from that, and have oftentimes had feelings of resentment if I wasn't feeling things were reciprocated. So I've learned through life experiences and through just maybe being more self-aware that you have to put your mask on first. So part of my routine is really I get up before everybody else does in my house, and I take care of me before anybody else wakes up, so that I've given myself what I need, and now I can give to others. And there are times that I've done some meditations at night when everybody goes to sleep, because COVID kind of brought on some anxiousness in all of us, and it was affecting my sleep. And when you don't get sleep, you become a beast sometimes. So I found meditation.
Sleep is imperative. It is a natural part of for the body to function, and people underestimate that. And usually when there is a lack of sleep, that of course there are other physical issues that can happen. But when it's related to stress, it's because the mind only has that place now to process out thoughts and emotions. If there isn't a regular practice of meditation in the day, or our practice, which is a non-directive technique. So there basically, very nutshell, meditation is like two areas: concentration or non-directive. And concentration is exactly that. You're thinking on something, right? So in the waking state, right? That's what everyone thinks meditation is, but it's not necessarily. The non-directive practices that allows the mind to get, all those thoughts coming up. And if you're a school teacher, you'll know that children sometimes will just sort of stare off. And that is an essential part of the mind processing. It's processing thoughts and emotions. And I really love one study that was put in PubMed, and all they did was put people under MRIs with different forms of meditation. Unfortunately, most studies are actually backed by the individuals that do that practice, so they're very biased. But this is so simple. And what they found was concentration techniques. Guess what? Concentrated part of the brain was lit up. But the non-directive, not only was there more of the brain lit up and was it equal, but the areas that it lit up were and highlighted were deep rest and processing thoughts and emotions. And so when we don't have a space where we allow our minds to go here, when we put our head on the pillow, we're not getting that sleep. And even if someone does our practice of meditation, which can give 2 to 5 times more deep rest than sleep, we are still talking to people about you need to get sleep.
Yeah.
You have to. It's a different state that the brain needs for optimal functioning. However, we seem to think in this society, let's just cut out regular food. Let's cut out regular rest.
Right.
And instead,
go.
Yeah, instead, do all these things, take all these supplements, do all this, yada, yada, yada. Well, what if you not just eat regularly and sleep and drink enough water? See how that changes first. And so this is, an area that is very much misunderstood. These fundamental basics, like really, we should treat ourselves like the baby that needs that love, right? The child that needs that love. Did you get enough sleep? Did you eat?
I know. It's true. Have you gone to the bathroom today?
And if not, why are you not regular? Because we might need to address some of that. I mean, this is all true, right? Absolutely true. But this is where we want to let more people know that there are options to help with the mind to get that deep rest, to then because the body is stressed, and especially with COVID, right? Lots and lots of stress. People would say, oh my job, I wish I could just stay at home longer. And then COVID happened. And guess what occurred? More stress.
I know.
So that was not the solution, was to just be at home and away from people, because guess what we always face? The mind. The mind, right? Now, the body, absolutely. The exercise program you're talking about, endorphins, this helping, and walking, for those of you who maybe are not physically able to do the same kinds of exercises, but if you can walk, and if you are in a wheelchair, simply getting out and just in the environment of the house, if you're able to breathe and change the environment. Nature is very, very important. That helps with the ions grounding, the physiology. Yes. And these are all helpful elements. And as I can surely imagine, as a school teacher, you are absolutely telling these people to put that in their lives now, so then it becomes a regular habit.
Yes. I think that if you can learn these well-balanced habits for yourself at a younger age, you will hold on to them and take them on as you get older, and be able to really utilize those skills. Getting that sleep, it is so important. And then, like you said, being able to have that time of concentration and calming, because they always say we need breaks. It's important to take a break. It's important to have rest, but your brain needs to rest too.
Yes.
And I think that what you're sharing is something that makes that possible. And it's something that you have to be consistent with. So you don't have to go crazy. You just have to be consistent with it, even if it's 5 minutes, right? And then you do that every day, it makes a big difference. Then you naturally want to do a little bit more.
Makes a big difference. And we have the time, right? If we looked at how much we spend on social media that's not working, right? We're talking about not working.
Right.
We actually do have the time. Our mindset says that we don't. And once one gets into a habit, I thought 20 minutes twice a day was going to be ridiculous. But what occurs is space opens up for it, because it becomes non-negotiable. Just like getting the sleep, and just like drinking water and releasing toxins. So with that, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this Cosmic Chat. If you want to know more about her programs, there will be links in the description, as there will be for our nonprofit and anything that we have upcoming. And if you need to reach out to us, please just go down into the email section and do that. We'd love it if you would share this fabulous video with Monica here and tell your friends and even subscribe if you can. Until then, we hope to see you on the next Cosmic Chat.